Lowe's knows tough jobs call for tougher tools. The new DeWalt Elite Series power tool accessories are built to last for the pro who doesn't stop. With precision fitment, durability, and impact resistance, finishing jobs faster has never been easier. Shop the new DeWalt Elite Series at an everyday low price exclusively at Lowe's. We help, you save.
Steering wheel. Laps of steering wheel, yeah. Give him steering wheel. Hey, steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to him. Come on. Whoa.
Do you like my bass? You like it?
How the f*** is this possible?
I'm driving like a grandma. Get that, Ralph? Did you hear me? Proper radio. Ralph, acknowledge. Now, come on, close him down and kill him. We've got a lunatic on the track down the Hanger Straight.
I am so annoyed.
Boys and girls, your attention, please.
Hello and welcome back inside the Park from April podcast, number 953. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not now.
A.K.A. Negative Camera. You know why I've asked you here.
You must convince the villagers that I'm harmless.
You know, if I'm honest, I don't think that's asking a lot. I really don't. But tonight, for your kind consideration, we are diving into AI. We are diving into ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, whatever one you prefer. We're going to be talking about that because that's what we do. And before doing that, I got to go introduce my co-host, of course. That means I have to go all the way to the right coast of America, nestled in our nation's capital, where she plies her skills as a master statistician and a lot of very interesting things that I can't talk about. But you know her, you love her, the lovely, the redoubtable.
Grace!
How you doing, Grace?
I'm hanging in there, Todd.
I know.
How are you doing?
Well, you know, you and I had to wade through a desert of no news this past week. And,
yes, again.
Very difficult. You know, you and I have sat through a lot of summer breaks in our days.
We sure have. Mm-hmm.
Yep. We've seen a lot of them come and go, decades worth. And I gotta be honest with you. I think everyone took this summer break pretty damn seriously.
Yeah,
even the media, because there just wasn't. I mean, there's a lot of navel gazing and reflective stories, which were fine. They were nice, but there just wasn't any big stories on the summer break, like, you know, Perez and Bottas signed a Cadillac. Ooh, you know, groundbreaking stuff. Nothing like that.
No, that's right.
You know?
I think some of it too is that, right, the rest of the season is what it is, right? And I think that's the other thing too, right? That we're all looking forward to the next season and the rule change. And so we're just all like, now we're just getting through this.
Yeah, this is like Oscar Lando, Oscar Lando. Who's going to do? I don't know.
I'm fine with that. So
yeah, I know you are being a McLaren fan.
Zero complaints.
This is race week. And as a Ferrari fan, I'm excited and ready to be embarrassed. So
you're like a football team in preseason, right? You're just like all hope.
I know.
It's possible. This could be the week.
Yeah,
maybe.
I know. I'm not a fair weather Chiefs fan. I was born and raised in Kansas City, so I've been a Chiefs fan since in utero. And so, yeah, all excited about preseason. We lost everything in preseason. I'm like, oh my gosh, the dynasty's over. What's going on here?
It's
not easy.
preseason. The last game of preseason means nothing. It's fine. But I just always think, you know, that's when you can just be hopeful for no reason.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, it's not based on it. It's just exuberance. It's not even cautious exuberance. It's just like, this is it. This is going to be the year we win it. Don't ask questions. We got 2 weeks before we find anything out. It'll be fun.
Like Alonso 08.
That's exactly. We'll just keep hoping for Alonso 08.
And for you that have been listening a long time, all the way back to 2008, you'll remember Grace was all in on Alonso 08. And so whenever we reference Alonso 08, that's what we're talking about for newer listeners.
Still true. You know, right? I mean, Alonso 2028 is still possible.
Yeah, at this rate, it is.
Because when will he retire? He will never retire. He's literally going to be like, you know, the crypt keeper in that car still racing. So it could be 2028.
Yeah, he could be. Oh, boy. Hey, before we get too deep into the podcast, I want to say a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters because we would not do this podcast without you. So a huge thank you for your support. Hey, let's be honest. Everyone is using AI to solve their problems. And in some cases, you got employees uploading all of that sensitive company information, balance sheets, P&Ls, profit and loss statements, here's our secret sauce. Here's the Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe. Help me make this better. They're uploading all kinds of stuff. We need a new logo redesign, so doing it. But very savvy users know that agentic AI makes more sense for business. And with that in mind, Grace, it dawned on me. We are horribly underrated. We're underrated because, in a lot of ways, we are F1's ChatGPT.
That's right, Stefano Domenicali.
Yeah. I mean, all they have to do is ask us and we'll help. We're here to help.
I have tons of opinions. I've got lots of them, right? Like, great, just ask. We got it. We can solve
and our solutions may or may not be good, but, we've got, AI isn't either, right?
We don't hallucinate here. It's only good.
That's right. It's only good. And, we're not going out and just, researching information or some would say stealing information. And so I got thinking about that. I thought, wow, and Grace, we don't ask for them to upload their race strategies and their profit and loss statement and their driver contracts. And we just been watching long enough to know,
That's right.
And we can solve that. So I figured armed with that understanding, now that all of us listening and watching and between the two of us, we've all got that understanding at this point. I thought, well, what if teams asked us to solve their issues? They could be like, okay, we got this driver issue. We got this car issue. It's not performing. We got a team issue. We got a season issue. What would that look like if teams did use TPF GPT?
Nicely done. I like the idea of like Alan Permain or somebody like, I know. We'll ask those guys. They'll know how to solve all these problems.
Right. Okay. Here's our current wind tunnel test data, and here's the driver contract for Perez and Bottas. Do you think this is a good deal? Should Cadillac sign them? It's Graham Loudon is sending that, right? And then we'll give you a very measured answer. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought, let's just start. We're just going to go team by team. Okay. We're just going to offer possible solutions when they email us what situations they're facing. And I think we can go through this. And, wouldn't this make for fun listening at home as a mid-season recap? Well, it might. So keep your ear peeled. Because here we go. We're going to start with Grace's team. McLaren Wright's at the sharp end of the grid. I mean, they're leading all the championships. Is it Oscar? Is it Lando? Is it Lando or is it Oscar, right?
Lando.
Who knows? So we're going to start off. Possible solution number one, efficiency over quantity and aero development. Now, they've got a brand new wind tunnel, right? It's an in-house wind tunnel. And it's paying dividends, I think, in performance. But refining that CFD and sim work, they've got to make every hour in that tunnel count at this point because they're working on 2026 development, and because they won the championship, they have reduced wind tunnel time. And even though it's a awesome wind tunnel, they really, are working with half a Happy Meal here. So they've got to really bullet this, more bullseyes, fewer darts in this thing.
Yeah. They just don't have the time to mess around or try anything. They really have to have solid ideas because, their hours are limited.
Right. Because, we've heard them say that, well, the car is fast. We know it. Yeah, it's probably the fastest car we know, but, it's kind of on an edge. And some places it's better than others, and there's these niggles that they don't really go into detail, nor would you expect them to. But I kind of feel like at this point, having won the championship and got all that cash, that's great. But having a reduced wind tunnel time when you're trying to design an all-new chassis and all-new regs got to be complicated, right? Yeah. So I think they should really double down on that. I'm sure they're using all the wind tunnel for 2026 at this point and a little bit for the 2025.
I mean, it used to be less than 5, more than 2. It was the only track they did good at was Hungary. So
yeah, right.
I mean, they're already doing better at this point in the season than the entire time I watched this team. So
yeah. So I think really it's just being really on their game and efficient with their use instead of just let's make 6 wings and see which one works, right? That's one thing I got thinking about. And then this whole continuous innovation. So Zach Brown should keep the innovation culture strong. Encourage the team to bring small but frequent updates, right? Even if the car is best, act like it's an underdog. Every race weekend, look for something to tweak and optimize. This whole mindset will prevent rivals from gaining ground. And because McLaren can't really rest. Ferrari's right there, nipping at the heels, Red Bull too. But I think if Zach, they worked well in that sort of underdog role, when they were struggling with Honda and they got rid of Honda and they got the Mercedes deal and they, Zach came in, kind of had that fighting spirit. We're the underdogs and they worked well. And I think just keeping that sort of underdog spirit, it's much easier to say than to do, but you always wonder, Grace, how does a team like Mercedes win 8 titles and keep that fire and that passion to keep winning them,
Wow. I think in a sense they're kind of the opposite of Ferrari, right? Like Ferrari is always like, we're going to win. Why wouldn't we win? We're Ferrari, right? We only are great. We are only excellent, right? So McLaren has spent, the last 20 years not being excellent. I mean, so they are really good at that. And so now that they're being excellent, you want them to keep that same drive that got them to this point.
Yeah.
Right? So keep thinking about those things and that there is no stone that's too small to overturn.
Right.
And look under it and find some development to it. I agree with that. I think that, don't become Ferrari. Don't just assume that you're great because you're Ferrari, right? And you'll be fine.
Right. And the prevailing notion for all these years that Grace and I have been podcasting is Grace is always like, McLaren's notorious for shooting themselves in the foot.
They're the worst. They're their own worst enemy. And that still could happen, right? Like, I mean, they're 559 points ahead of, not ahead of Ferrari. They have 559 points. Ferrari has 260 points. So they're well ahead of their of number 2 at this point. So please don't McLaren your way through this. Don't shoot yourself in your own foot. We even saw that last year. So just focus on Lando. Lando's going to win the championship. We're fine. There's no need to ruin this for anybody. Just don't do that to yourself. But they are very good at that. That's
you
true.
wonder if they don't shoot themselves in the foot. Was the foot shooting era, the Ron Dennis era, has Zach taken the team beyond the foot shooting era? I don't know.
Well, I mean,
maybe.
If by foot shooting you mean Spygate, yes, he has. I mean, you can't disparage everything Ron did, right? Because for sure they had a lot of success under Ron Dennis, and then they had a lot of less success under Ron Dennis. But I do think that it's kind of, we were talking about when we talked about Christian Horner. Like, that's the big thing, that Christian Horner is the only team principal that Red Bull knew. So now what? So I think that Zach Brown was able to take that Ron Dennis. Now what? Ron Dennis was such a force at that team, and he was able to work with it. And I always joke that when he first came on, you literally picked the most opposite personality from Ron Dennis to be the new CEO at this team.
Yeah.
And he's really made it pay off. And so I think that's, one of the things that Red Bull's going to have to look at. But it is always interesting to kind of see who's that next person that's going to bring this team to glory. And Zach's done a great job.
Yeah, he has. And that kind of speaks to my next thing is flawless operation. So McLaren's pit crew strategists should really keep the excellent workup that they had in the first half of the year. No more, box the wrong tire or, those kind of memes. They mostly eradicated those, and it needs to stay that way. Maybe institute a little friendly competition if the pit crew stays under 2 seconds, whatever. Maybe Zach dresses all in papaya orange suit and at the finale, or, Zach's not beyond being campy. He's gotten tattoos.
Listen, that guy, if it motivated his team, he would 100% do pretty much anything. So,
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Christian, jumped in with just a cape into the pool, right? But I think Zach can one-up that. I think if Zach keeps that execution flawless for the second half of the season, if they can do that, I think whatever keeps that motivation going, keep team spirits light, focused, help maintain, because I don't think we've seen, hopefully we've seen the end of the strategy flops. And that's, on Andrea Stellan team. But I don't think we've seen the driver friction really come to fruition yet. No,
but naturally it exists. So I think they've done a really good job of managing that between the two drivers.
So far, yep.
Yeah. And I think another thing that Zach's really good at is, giving flowers to everybody at the team, right? You already hired Rob Marshall. How much greater can this team be, right? Like, I'm sure somewhere there's a whole list of emails from Dear Christian Horner, I think we should do this. Okay, Rob, we'll try that next year. Okay, slow your roll, Rob. Well, who's laughing now, right? So I think you have great people in place. And as much as I miss Seidel, I think that Zach and Stella have such a great working dynamic. And I think that, like the two of them, they just play really well, right? The sort of very Italian versus the very American, right? Those personalities just really gel well, and it plays really well to the media and to what we see. So I think you have a lot of the key people in place for your team. You have two top-notch drivers, and they're both different too. So I think that they've really managed that. And again, we'll get to Red Bull. We kind of talk about how Red Bull is very max focused, and then there's the other guy.
Yeah.
McLaren's really like, no, I can't just treat all my children the same. Like what Oscar needs and what Lando needs is different. And they've seemed to really find a place to get them both what they need in order to be successful at this team. So whatever that magic sauce is, just keep doing it, and don't let go of Rob Marshall. Whatever you got to pay them.
Yeah, right.
As much for McLaren merch as he wants, please just keep him at your team, and let's just keep moving forward.
Right. As far as they're concerned, Rob Marshall is the Adrian Newey for that team. So
absolutely. Please never let that going. Just everywhere, just give that, everywhere, because Zach always does the like shoulder hug, like, dude, you're my guy. Just always that guy.
Yeah. Right.
Give me your team.
Let's see. Next up, Ferrari types into TPF GPT, and here are possible solutions for Ferrari.
Poor Fred. Fred's just like, I'm sad. I'm at Ferrari.
TPFGPT. What should I do about Lewis? Oh, backspace. Lewis. Yeah.
What was I thinking in taking this job and thinking that I could fix Ferrari? What was I thinking?
Could I go to Alpine? Would that be a better move?
Don't go to. You don't need ChatGPT to tell you that. Don't go to Alpine. That's never the right answer. There is no answer to this question. That's a hallucination. If it tells you go to Alpine, wrong. Find a new search engine. Bad idea. Never the right answer.
So for flawless strategy execution, I think is one possible solution. Continue the 2024 trend of smart calls, right?
Right.
You remember before that, but perhaps I would also argue over-prepare with multiple strategy scenarios for each race. Ferrari might consider hiring a strategy coach. We were talking about, their driver needs a driver coach. Okay, well, how about a strategy coach? Or maybe someone just upload all of their secret race strategy to Grok so it runs 1,000 simulations for them, and they could just, vet their choice out to avoid any sort of brain fades they might had. What was the joke that, local pizza delivery guy could strategize better in 2022, right? So they need to prove in 2025 that those days are well behind them,
Except the only problem with this is they got rid of their best strategist and gave him to Williams. So I'm not sure how they're going to solve this problem. It is going to be tough.
It's and if we see some hiccups in that area, it continues to be a struggle for them. I think.
Let's try Plan F. What is Plan F, right? Like, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. Nobody else seems to get this radio communication that we get from Ferrari. That is just kind of.
I know. And it's one of those things. I mean, to their credit, I haven't seen a bunch of, really bad strategy calls so far. So, fingers crossed that they keep that momentum going. Really. I'm kind of intrigued by the whole development race. McLaren, Red Bull, they're certainly not going to slow down, but Ferrari's engineers, I kind of feel like there's still something to extract from the SF25 concept. And, if they're focusing on race pace, tire management, and upgrades slightly, sometimes that thought that a slightly slower qualifying car that flies on Sunday, can win races. Also, ensuring new parts are properly validated. Just don't show up with, more mysterious loss of form after some random upgrade you're just throwing on, bolting on the car. Test them.
What operation are you running there, Ferrari?
I know. They need to test them. Test them twice, thrice. I don't know. Test them in the Fiorano parking lot, for crying out loud, if need be.
I love that idea. Okay, Lewis, here's what we need you to do.
Yeah. Here, we got this rear wing. We've bolted it on the back of a LaFerrari, and I want you to go around Fiorano really fast.
I was going to say a Honda Civic. I think that's a funnier image.
No,
it's
a Fiat. A Fiat 500.
My Honda Civic is not brand correct, but I think it's
Fiat
funnier.
500,
but especially because you always see, I don't know about where you live, but I know where I live, the Honda Civics always have the craziest wings. And I'm like, where are you going on the Beltway with that, right? Like, what aerodynamic advantage are you getting with that big of a wing while we're all sitting in traffic doing 20? Cool.
What does it all mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. But you're right. Yeah. You're right. A Fiat would be more brand appropriate.
Yeah, like a Fiat Abarth or something. You got Lewis out in a Fiat Abarth driving around the parking lot in Fiorano with a great big F1 wing on the back. I think that's a great image.
I like this visual. This is great.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying that.
It is.
You're the new guy. That's what you got to do.
You are the new guy. You're the test mule. That's Get at it.
Leclerc's not doing that.
No, he's already done that.
That's right.
So I think there's still some pace. They want to consolidate second in the constructors at least. Yeah. And so I think there's still some things that could develop on that. The whole thing, speaking of Leclerc and Hamilton, they're not at that, even Lando and Oscar aren't quite at that head-to-head thing, but Leclerc and Hamilton, keeping that clear communication. Lewis has been down on himself in the last races, handful of races. Maybe have some tracks where one, gets the priority over the other. I don't know. Just kind of try to keep it fair, amenable between them. Keep the radio fights kind of to a minimum because those don't help anything. They
entertain me.
Well, they're entertaining. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Not good for the team, though.
Must be the water. Let's add that to the words of wisdom.
That is the words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom. That's right.
They probably ought to just do that in a private meeting over espresso. And Ferrari has great espresso. I know. I've been there and I had one. It was really good. But keep everything positive. Lewis is already kind of, down on himself and all that. Just keep things positive. Charles is clearly very frustrated. There's no reason to have internal competition at this point. But if Lewis isn't, at some point, Grace, they may have to dip into that Kimi Räikkönen fun and let Lewis walk.
So first of all, I think I'm not ready to let Lewis walk. First of all, right? He just got here, right? I mean,
I agree.
That was the thing with Kimi, right? It took Kimi until this point in the season, any season, for him to ever really gel with the team. So Lewis isn't quite as bad as Kimi Räikkönen when it comes to team synergy, if you will, but which is hilarious. The idea of Kimi Räikkönen is like the opposite of team synergy, right?
He is.
So he's working it out. He's got some issues. I do think that the big thing is that there isn't trust. So between the drivers and the pit wall, and that's what we hear in the radio communication. So
you even hear that from Charles. Yeah.
So I talked about how at the race in Hungary where it was like the world's longest radio transmission, and that it's a good thing I had a 9,000-inch TV because otherwise it would have fallen off the bottom of the screen.
Right.
And afterwards he was like, "Oh, right, that isn't something I could have fixed." But during his radio, he was like, "You should have told me this sooner. I could have done something about it."
Yeah.
Right. So in hindsight, it isn't something you could have done about it, but you thought you could have. This is why, we all in the corporate world hate the pre-meeting meeting, but you have to have the pre-meeting meeting because I have to know that, Todd, you and I are on the same page, because when you go and talk to the vendor and you're leaving something out, I need to know you're playing the game, right? That it's strategy and not just you forgot to tell the vendor something.
Right.
And that's what's missing, right? I feel that, like, you know, I may not, if we've had a pre-meeting, I may not agree with you, but I trust you. And I know that afterwards we can address any questions I might have if it doesn't circle around and I see how this game was working out. And I think that's what's missing. They're just clearly like, you don't get it. You don't understand me. I could have fixed this, and it's coming out on the radio.
Right. I agree.
That's a terrible place for this to happen.
It is. It's just a lot of frustration. Lewis's frustration on the radio, Charles' frustration on the radio. It would tell you that there's, you know, in the heat of battle, of course, those conversations are going to be more animated, more amped, and more emotional. When things cool down, maybe they have a little bit more of a cool conversation about it. But still, you know, the friction is there, right? And they've got to get some sort of harmony going. I think
it's what the kids would call ride or die. Like, that doesn't mean that whatever you say, I do. It means that I have some trust in you, that it's important to you. And even if I don't understand it, I'm going to go with you because we're going to find this out, and I'm going to see where you're coming from. Right. And there's just no ride or die at Ferrari when it comes to the drivers. Yeah. I also think that maybe they actually should use AI and go through some of the collaborative ideas that Lewis has sent them. Apparently, they're like 700 pages of a Word document nobody's looking at. And they need to be going through that because there's probably some good stuff in there. Because Lewis, I'm guessing that having been at two teams and
he's seen a thing or two, 7 or 8
championships, he knows something. And maybe there's something to that even the great Ferrari could apply to making this team better. You hired him for a reason. Right. And this would be part of it. He's bringing that knowledge from McLaren and Mercedes to your team. It would be dumb for you not to look into it. So he's sending you documents, read them, put them through an AI, find out the highlights, have it summarize your emails for you, Fred, and find some answers.
Right. It's just that if I was going to do that with Lewis, I would make him make a PowerPoint on official Ferrari slide deck.
Like he's George?
Like he's George, and then have him put every slide with images to prove his point. All images have to be source accredited, and so there you go.
It'll be fine.
There you go. Let's see, Mercedes AMG Petronas F1 team.
Speaking of George.
So I was thinking, well, exploit the better base, and what do I mean by that? So Russell mentioned that the new generation car is a much better platform than you remember the Zero Pod, right?
Yeah. Anything is better than the Zero Pod.
Right. So if it's a much better car, then this is clearly where they need to iterate from, right?
Right.
Instead of going back and say, well, for 2026, we're really going to take a real strong look at that Zero Pod again.
No, never talk about that again.
Yeah, maybe.
He should not be named.
Yeah, right. So maybe just to confidently iterate on this concept, knowing that it's a much better car, much better direction. Each update, really trying to, I think in Mercedes' case, is trying to widen that window of performance because, more downforce is needed too, but perhaps spend those remaining aero testing days on aggressive, floor or wing or try to claw back some grip. I don't know. You'd even look around up and down the paddock a little bit. Copying is just imitation's flattery, right? And I feel like that might help. I feel like the car is better this year, but it can be a little slippy on track. There's a narrow window. It does cool temperatures better. Some tracks we've seen to be really strong. George is there, podiums. Other tracks, he's trying to scrape himself into out of Q1, and trying desperately to get into Q3. So, it's just that window. It's very interesting, and I'm not suggesting everything I'm suggesting is much, much easier to say than it is to do. It's like if you put in a chat GPT. How do I fix the Mercedes car performance issue? Well, you got to design a new chassis and new aero suspension package. Well, no kidding. Well, that's not going to happen. It's got to be realistic in what they can do. So I don't know how they do that, but I think iterating on top of a better base is a good progress, which of course they're doing. I don't know how they get that window wider. I'm sure that's that's one of the benefits that the McLaren has that Red Bull struggle with, Ferrari struggle with, and Mercedes does. So not sure how they do that, but I think that's a real problem.
I also think that we were talking about sort of the ethos of McLaren, right? The ethos of McLaren, they've been underdogs for so long, so they're really kind of good at knowing to live in that space. Mercedes is kind of the opposite, right? They're not used to living in this space. They've really struggled living in this space, right?
Right.
And so what you'd want to see from Mercedes is more like a Williams ethos, like, we start on the bottom, now we're here, right? Like, we're just going to keep at this and we're going to keep working at it. And I don't really get that sense from the team that that's kind of their ethos. They've kind of struggled with being on the bottom, and what does that look like? And that, that Lewis walked away from you. I don't think they've really recovered from that idea of like, we were being so successful with him and now he's left. Right?
Yeah.
What do we do? What is our brand now? Maybe it's the same thing of the like, Ron Dennis leaves, Zach Brown comes in, and now you have to redefine yourself. Maybe they're kind of going through that same sort of growing pain, but they got to figure that out fast. They just are kind of like floundering as a team with their.
It's going to be tough for those team members too. You have to win all those championships back to back, and Toto saying that this performance is unacceptable. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure that they're putting on themselves, and they're all brilliant and smart people there, but it's just how to overcome that issue with a car that is what it is. And then can we develop that anymore in 2025 to take the battle to Ferrari for second? Is that possible? It may not be if George is the only one, regularly scoring points. So,
right.
Yeah, tough situation. And speaking of, there's they're all in on Kimi Antonelli for all the right reasons, but maybe they could use a little bit of driver coaching. He's sort of bounced back in the last race. That's great. But I'm thinking, hey, why not bring the chippy Nico Rosberg in there to have a pep talk, right? Nico knows how to beat Lewis. So maybe that would be good. And then I was thinking, well, what about JB? Bring JB in.
Yeah, there you go.
Have JB talk to him a little bit. Help accelerate his learning curve, right?
I think Jensen, I can't see. I mean, I think Nico Rosberg, he's good at output. I don't know that he would be good at the input part of it. Right? Yeah. You know what I mean? I think I think if you gelled with Nico Rosberg, it would be great. It would be great team pairing.
Right.
The idea of like, I tried this and it didn't quite work for Todd, so let me try this other strategy. Which is really what a teacher does, right? Like that's really what a coach is going to do. Is they're going to try to find what works for you. I don't know that I get that from Rosberg, but I agree. If they gelled together, Rosberg he's very good at explaining things and he's very good at finding that space for him.
Well, he knows the system, right?
So that's where I think maybe JB would be a better option, right?
Right.
And that's what he's doing currently. So,
and I'm sure he's heavily involved in simulator work and that kind of thing, but maybe even hanging out with the engineers. So he's building that confidence and trying to provide some useful feedback. The sooner he can contribute to solid points along Russell, the sooner Mercedes has a two-car threat again. But right now, they don't, right? It's very much kind of like Red Bull at this point. There's not that convincing two-car threat for points that's going to make it difficult for either Red Bull or Mercedes to overall Ferrari and the constructors. So kind of feel like that's one thing they could do.
And we only have one race at Vegas. So they're going to have to figure something out, right?
Right. Let's see. Red Bull. How about Red Bull?
How about
Red Bull Racing?
How about that?
Well, I don't know if it's really possible, but the car seems only drivable by Max. And while this may be the case, I got to wondering if Max couldn't just make the most out of a car that Yuki can drive to the points. I mean, maybe they could keep that in mind for 2026. I mean, the conventional wisdom, is that Max can drive anything, right? Well, if he can drive anything, and he
help
he
the
can,
second driver out.
Yeah, then maybe make a car that Yuki or /Liam or /whomever can drive to the points, and then assume that Max will do 3 positions better.
That's right. Like Alonso, right? Like just move the car for the other guy because Alonso's great. We know he'll do great.
Right. I mean, I got to think that Max can overcome whatever. Like if he jumped into Yuki's car and it wasn't pointy enough on the front end. Okay, well, clearly he doesn't like it, but he's going to make the absolute most of it, right?
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. They've got this issue where only one driver can drive it. That's a problem,
right?
And they got to give that some consideration for 2026 and what they're going to do. And this kind of comes down to the second driver, whether it's Yuki or Liam or whomever. Red Bull, they got to nurture that number 2 a little bit. I mean, give them setups closer to Max's liking, since the car is notoriously built around him, and allow them some freedom to diverge if Max's setup is too hot to handle, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, just support your second driver. Stop dogging whoever it is, even if you hate the guy.
I know.
Don't make it public, right?
I know. Yeah. Yeah, you got Helmet out there bad-mouthing him and all that. I mean, psychologically, Laurent Mekies and team should publicly back their second driver. Less rotate the board, rotate after 2 bad races talk, and more confidence building. A confident number 2 can bring home the podiums and strategic help needed in the team championship. And when you think about that, Liam could have used some positive coaching. Yuki could have used some positive coaching. Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, just throw him in there and say, well, sink or swim. That's a little harsh.
They're professionals. They're not Ralph Schumacher. They don't need their hands held, but they do need some niceness, right? Or some attaboy, right? We all need some amount of that.
Yeah.
I assume they're successful Formula 1 drivers, so they don't need as much as I do, but they still got to give them something, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you could just, it always sticks to me that when Ed Straw was like, why, when they asked him on the race, like, why is there such this bad narrative around Yuki Tsunoda? And he's like, because that's what Red Bull says. That's terrible. Even if you hate Yuki Tsunoda and you hate this position you've been put in and you hate that he's your second driver, don't say that out loud.
Right.
How hard is this, right? Like, it's just like when you go in an interview and they ask you, why are you leaving this job? Never say it's because my last job sucked. We all know that's what happened, and that's why you're here. They're either not paying you enough, or your management sucks, or it has to be bad, or you wouldn't be leaving. But you don't say that.
Right. Yeah, it's a tough thing. They gotta coach him a little bit, and I don't know.
I think Mekies will do better.
Yeah, he might. And this kind of leads into overall team morale, right? In 2024, Red Bull looked impervious, and now they need focus. Less focus on media mind games, more on internal targets. If Max is feeling the heat, change that, channel that into motivation. He hates losing. Red Bull operates better with that bit of swagger that they've always had, right? They just need to get that back. It's almost like they had the stuffing taken out of them, and they need to kind of get that swagger back. But I'll be honest with you. We all may think we're on the backside of the big news of Christian Horner being let go and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. I don't think we've seen remotely close the impact that that's actually going to have. And I don't know that anyone's really thought about it. I mean, I think F1 journalists who are in the paddock and know all the players, I'm sure they think about this and they know this. But I think as average fans, you think, oh, well, Christian's gone. Oh, Laurent Mekies, he was running, Racing Bulls. That's great. Now they got a new leader, blah, 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 blah. This goes deeper than that. This is an issue on corporate leadership. Moving that leadership of the team back to Austria, to the son and his lieutenants. Christian was the sole man in charge of that entire operation, including the power unit. And now he's gone. And now you're bringing it back to corporate. And the son and a couple of lieutenants feel like they've got everything, under control. And you move Laurent Mekies. I mean, Laurent Mekies has bounced around a little bit. Ferrari, FIA, that kind of thing, at Racing Bulls. I think he's done a good job. But is he a leader for an organization of this magnitude and this kind of budget and money? I hope so. But on the flip side of that, Christian is and knows how to win and knows how to develop that team and knows how to solve those problems. I would almost argue, Grace, that the team that Red Bull bought to get into F1 struggled and left F1 because of the very type of complexion that team had that Red Bull now appears to have.
Yes.
And that was Jaguar. And that was
Right.
Ford not letting the F1 team do F1 team things. Ford was, all in it, and it was car by committee and all the stuff, that they're involved in. And they just never really materialized because there was too many chefs in the kitchen. And that's kind of what I fear for Red Bull now. Whereas Christian, whether you like that consolidation of power around that guy happens to win titles. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that we've seen the full impact of that yet.
No, because I think clearly Red Bull, as it exists now, did not.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to be part of this. I think many of the other things that have been put forward are a bit of a red herring. He was consolidating a lot of power at Red Bull, and they were not okay with that. And now he's gone. So I agree with all of what you're saying, right? I think the thing that it will be most interesting to me is that I hope that Mekis knows what his future plan is. I get that I don't know. But he should know. Is this just to get them to the end of the season? Maybe it's to get him to the end of the next season. But hopefully he knows how long his contract is or how long he's sitting in this seat. Because if he thinks it's long-term and Red Bull doesn't think it's long-term, that's a problem. If they both think it's short-term, then that's fine. And if he's just kind of a Band-Aid until we figure out who's going to be the Zach Brown after Ron Dennis, that's fine. This is going to take him some time. But
yeah, right.
I think it's going to be real bad if they're not on the same page about how long Mekis is going to be the team principal at Red Bull.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know that we're done seeing the impact. We'll have to wait and see.
I don't think so. It's a big person. I mean, even Ferrari, who switches team principals like I change my socks, this is still a big sea change for any team.
It's huge.
When that sort of like ethos, that team principal, that person that kind of like, and that's the team principal's job, whatever you call them, right? To like gather everybody together and move them forward, right? Like their coach, right? We're gonna get through this, and that's who that is very important, and who the next person to do that job is going to be important. And I think Red Bull has never been down this road before.
I agree.
Who's going to be the Tim Cook after Steve Jobs? I don't know. Right? Yeah. Like, this is a big sea change for them.
Well, yeah, it's, I still maintain that Ferrari's still reeling from the mass purge of Luca Montezemolo, Jean Todt leaving Ross Brawn, Montezemolo, all those guys. They just purged everyone, all the executives and middle management, and it was they're, again, very much like with Red Bull, it was a boardroom battle.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've fully recovered from that still to this point. Very much like Ron Dennis and Spygate, and then with Mansour and the boardroom battle to oust Ron Dennis, that team struggled from then all the way until Zach came in and started turning around until now, right?
Yeah.
And they've paid that dear price for all those years to try to recover. And I think now we may see that with Red Bull. Hope not. Hope I'm totally wrong on this, folks, but I don't know. We'll see.
It can be bad. Yeah.
Next up, Williams. Possible solutions. Well, they got a balance issue. I don't know how they're going to, improve their cornering grip without sacrificing straight line speed, and that seems to be kind of their secret weapon. It's much easier said than done, of course. But basically, finding a few points of downforce and slow turns while keeping it a rocket ship on the straights, would be the goal. Again, so easy to say that, nearly impossible to do that, right? And I get that, but the target has to be that top 10 contender because they're seated so well in the Constructor Championship right now, I
know, right?
Yeah, and you hate to give up that ground. You got to be going for those top 10s every single race. And trying to find, a little bit of downforce without scrubbing off all that speed has got to be important.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that, to see Williams being fifth in the points for the constructors right now, the constructor standings, like, I think that Would we have thought this 5 years ago? No. I mean, we've been saying for years, right? Because Williams is always the team that you want to succeed. Like if hopes were enough to get a team to across the line, Williams would have done it like 7 times over by now. So it's not enough. So the fact that they're in 5th speaks volumes to James Vowles as a person.
Yeah.
But don't lose sight of it, right? I think that's what, right? There are still places on your Excel spreadsheet that need to be refined in order to continue that move to being top of middle. Like, I just think that one day we're going to it's already there. It's like, what? Williams, you're here? Right. How did that happen?
Happen? Right.
I think, keep doing what you're doing and don't lose that momentum. Don't let that go.
Right. And I was thinking too, this is the second half of the season, so they know what tracks they have left. Mm-hmm. And maybe they could have a strategic focus on key races to really try to maximize those points and consolidate 5th. Right. So identify those tracks where Williams should shine, like, Monza and those kind of things, where, low drag friendly circuits, right? And then absolutely capitalize there. Bring minor upgrades, optimize setups, be aggressive in strategies to score as much as you possibly can on those tracks. And on the tracks that don't suit the car, maybe those are more experimental approaches. Playing to the strengths can net disproportionate rewards, but points scored on good days can cushion some of those bad days, right?
Right.
More points than just average points on a good day will offset the bad days, and sort of playing it. I'm not saying anything the team doesn't know. They know this,
right? But you want them to be consistently bringing home points. I'd rather you consistently bring home 3 points than sometimes you bring home 10 points and sometimes you bring home no points. Yeah, right?
And
just keep consistently bringing me some points.
Yeah, if you can stay in that top 10, then focus on those tracks where you should be really good and try to maximize the points in those, because then on the races you finish 9th and 10th or maybe 11th, you can take it a little bit more.
It's not so hard, right?
Yeah. And I just think that for 2026, they got to keep the foot on the gas, but also 2025. Vowles openly said that Williams focused on 2026 project, period. Right. Full stop. And I think that's wise, of course, but don't drop the ball for 2025. The morale boost of beating a couple big names in the championship now is huge. Right. It sends a message to the whole team that, we're focused on 2026, but guess what? We beat Aston Martin, right? And we were 5th in the championship. That means that the changes we're making to be focused on 2026 are actually working. They're paying dividends. So holding on to P5 in the constructors a bit longer, snatching a P6 in a race, it's proof that Williams' revival is real. And that's going to attract more sponsors, feeding into the 2026 plan, right?
Because who doesn't love who doesn't love the Williams story? Williams has the narrative. Like they're not like, I don't know, like Sauber. I mean, once Sauber is no longer Sauber, right? I mean, Sauber also has a history. Maybe Racing Bulls is a better example. Like you already have a story. You don't need to create it. The narrative is there. You just need the success to back up that narrative. Because again, who doesn't love Williams? This story pulls at every heartstring that every Formula One fan has. So you've got that. So you just keep capitalizing on that success and you'll be able to sell it.
I agree. And it does as much for external as it does internal, I think, for the team too.
I think the biggest thing that Williams needs to figure out is Carlos Sainz.
Yep.
Right? Alex Albon is consistently outperforming him at every race in some ways, right? He's new to the team. That's going to happen. But also, you're Carlos Sainz. This is like team number 7. You're like the Maverick Vinales of Formula One. I shouldn't have to wait for you the way I wait for like Gabby Bortoletto to get it together, right?
Right.
Like, you should be getting it. So I think that if they could really figure out how to get Carlos Sainz better, faster. I mean, you're definitely going to need that for next season. You're not going to be able to have this. And and also my fantasy team could really use Carlos to do a little bit better the rest of the season.
It cannot be, Ricky.
That would really help me out as well. I'm just putting that out there. But please, Carlos Sainz, James Vowles kind of get together. I think that there has to be a lot of frustration there, and that's gonna weigh on the team. So I think if we could figure out a way to get his game up, That would help everybody.
I'm all
out.
for it.
All right.
So you got Aston Martin.
Carlos.
Good old Aston Martin.
Good old. I mean, speaking about football preseason and feeling great. I mean, Aston Martin, this summer break is going to be the best time they have this whole season because you just came out of Hungaroring where you were like, great. And we're all just going to pretend like you're going to be great at every other track that's left and you're not. But let's just pretend for one more week that you've been successful and you're going to keep being successful.
Right. I agree. You know, I think now that they have the guy who inspired the Red Bull, that the green Red Bull, remember that one?
Yeah.
The green Red Bull was sort of modeled after. Well, they've got him. So I have to think that means they're well on the way to solving their issue in 2026. Now,
I hope so.
They've got a handling issue, tire deck issue. The car doesn't seem to like high-speed corners. Don't know if it's a suspension. Maybe they get maybe they're doing some updates there. Aero tweaks, of course, they're doing. They need more of a tame stallion than a wild bull at this point, and it's been difficult. And how they, get around the tire issue and tire deck issue is really tough. I thought, heck, put Lawrence in a IMSA Valkyrie with a set of Pirellis on it and have him run a few hundred laps around Silverstone and get the niggles out. Lawrence could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a micromanager. You want to micromanage the team? Go fix my tire problem.
Go do this. Yeah.
Go run 200 laps around Silverstone on those Pirellis on the Valkyrie, and you let me know. Figure that out.
Yeah.
And I think that would give him a hobby and something to do. I also think...
I love the idea that, he's a gazillionaire. Needs a hobby. We just need this guy out of the boardroom. Here, go do this.
Right. Whatever you do, just keep him out of Adrian's office. He's distracting Adrian way too much.
We need to keep him focused. Yeah.
Yes, I need Adrian doing Adrian stuff.
Right.
You got the issue with Alonso and Stroll. You got to keep Alonso happy and motivated. He's the team's MVP. I maybe just rename the team Alonso Martin, right? Instead of Aston Martin. I don't know. Keep him happy. Keep him motivated. Once you get the car, he'll deliver the results. I'm sure
absolutely.
On. Yeah.
I don't think
For Stroll, I don't know what is up with that. Maybe a winter rally school for him. Maybe an intensive driver training program. There's all those jokes, that persist about family driver discount. And, I don't know. Maybe a little gentle fatherly nudge for Lance would help at this point by making it like a competition, like a public challenge. Lance to beat Fernando, right? A little fatherly pressure, a little friendly competition, ignite some fire. All he's got to say is, hey, we're going to have a competition for the second half. It's Alonso versus Lance to see who wins the most races of the last. Alonso, game on, done, toast.
Right.
He's done, right?
Yeah.
But maybe it'll fire Lance up. Probably not.
Something. What fires? I mean, I think what fires up?
Yeah.
What gets that guy going? What are his hobbies? What is his joy? He always just seems so bored by all of this. I'm not saying you have to be overly enthusiastic about everything that's Formula One, even though I, as a fan, want to see that. But you're going to pretend better. He just seems like, I don't really want to be here.
There's all these drivers that give their left arm to have that seat. And he's kind of like, meh, I don't know.
So if you're going to keep Lance at your team, figure this out. Get him Nico Rosberg to figure this out. Right. That's who needs the driver coach.
Right. I agree.
There has to be something that motivates him. There are peaks. There are moments of good driving. There are moments of joy. But how do you make that more consistent for Lance? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it's Lawrence. Like I said, maybe he needs a hobby. I don't know. Maybe, a Zen owner like yoga or something. A Zen owner leads to a Zen workplace. Maybe that. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to do something.
I think you got to figure out Lance. If you're not going to get rid of him, then you need to lean into figuring out how to make that work.
Yeah, you don't have a 2-car attack for the points, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kick Sauber. No, not literally. But that's the name of the team.
Yeah.
It's really Steak Sauber F1 team. No, Kick Steak Sauber. Sauber, Steak, Kick Sauber I don't know.
I don't think anybody is talking about anything, but we'll just call them Sauber. I don't think we're like not going to talk about the kick part or the steak part.
I know. It's a tough situation, Greg. You got a short-term focus and amid a long-term plan. And that's always been kind of a problem for the last couple of years, right? Even if Audi's looming in the shadows, Sauber should ring fence a task force for 2025 second half, right? Just go at it all guns. Give those guys the freedom and some budget just to push this year's car as far as they possibly can. Make a late season big upgrade to steal P8 in the championship. That could net millions. Audi would be happy inheriting that. And then show that Hinwell on one big final step, they can walk and chew gum at the same time, you know? Prepare for 2026, of course, but fight for 2025 and do it big.
You're like a politician who isn't going up for re-election. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right? Put 6 wheels on the car. Just go for it, right?
Go for it.
You're not in charge of this next year. Audi or somebody else is going to take over your team. So, just go out big. Do what you want. Say what you want. Do it.
I agree. And, think about the engine. So Audi's coming in with a new program, new engine. Okay, you got a Ferrari, and all right, it's final year of the Ferrari Power Sauber, right? So let's use it fully. Turn up the engine mode when reliability allows. Leverage any technical tidbits Ferrari shares like cooling setups, hybrid tuning, whatever. Ferrari won't mind their customer engine taking a few points off their rivals. But in other words, go out with a bang with that 066/15 engine and just absolutely maximize. And Audi would like to know a little bit about how that Ferrari hybrid unit works themselves, right? So just maximize it. I mean, push it to the nth degree. Keep the morale high for the future. The Sauber crew knows that big changes are coming. Management should keep everyone informed, make them feel part of the Audi journey, maybe hold a future showcase day, show the staff the 2026 power unit, let them hear the Audi engine fire up to build excitement. A team that's emotionally invested is going to perform a lot better. And, that then also lean into the new sponsors. I don't know if Kick's going to hang around or Steak, but if they are, put some marketing activations. They should really go out Audi, big sort of sim racing tournaments, up against Nico Hülkenberg. Really build it up. Keep things lively, is my thinking. And, I feel like the better results that they get with a slower car, that's the best advertisement to carry into the Audi era.
But, I think that Nico Hülkenberg winning, there's lean into that, right? That's like Pierre Gasly winning, right? Like that's such a we feel it here, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody wants that. That was so exciting for all of us. The fact that they had to go borrow champagne because they didn't have any. Because why would Sauber need champagne? So I think that kind of lean into your plucky underdogness for the end of the season. Right. It's kind of like hone your inner Bottas, right? Just kind of be the team that Red Bull used to be, right? Kind of be the fun, kind of, you got nothing. You're not up for re-election next year, so you can kind of play with it.
It's a lame duck session.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just go with it.
Right.
And maybe don't talk about kick or steak, but otherwise you'll be fine.
Yeah, I feel like also it's worth bearing in mind for the team. And I know everybody's all excited about Audi and Audi Motorsport and Audi's heritage and Audi didn't this and Audi won on Audi. I get it. There's a lot to be excited about. But I think the team would do well to really kind of make sure they've elbowed out room and messaging around the end of Sauber. These men and women have worked at Hinwell for a long time. So for those of us at home that remember the C1, this is a big bookend in a chapter of Formula One with Sauber, going away and Audi coming in. I feel like they really should honor that. Yeah. play into that. Go all out. Just take that car, wring its neck. If you blow the engine, so be it. Just go. Make something out of Sauber.
You weren't going to win, so go for it, right?
Go for it. Do some crazy stuff on races. Pick races you think you do better and just do crazy strategy to try to get TV time and talk about Sauber and Sauber's legacy and what Peter Sauber created.
You need to hone your inner Eddie Jordan. What would Eddie do?
What would Eddie do?
That's what you need to do.
I agree. All right. Moving on, Racing Bulls. Well, I think Racing Bull needs a Forge Clear identity. Red Bull higher up should decide. Is Racing Bulls a pure talent incubator or a points-focused midfield team or both? Communicate this clearly to the team. If it's both, perhaps alternate seasons of focus. 1 year you're prioritizing development, next year working on drivers. I don't know. Right. But you got to figure out your team identity and maybe just stick with Racing Bulls. It's generic, yes, but this thing has changed its name, I don't know how many times in the last 2 years, but they need to change that up. I feel like it's just all over the map.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they need their own version of Rexy and IMSA, Right.
Yeah. I agree. I think that I hadn't thought of this and you kind of put it out there, but they kind of have an identity crisis, right? Yeah. They have no ethos or too many ethoses. Pick something. Right. What are you doing here?
Pick something. Yeah. Roll with it,
Stay in that place.
Get a stable driver lineup. My gosh, Dr. Marco's just plowing through it, like a semi or a Mack truck, but it hurts to the constructor's point. If a rookie knows he's going to be yanked after 10 races, 2 races, whatever, it's hard to develop anything confidently.
Nobody can be like that, right? Like you and I in our regular ass day jobs that aren't Formula One drivers can't live like that, right? You need to know that the team has your back and that you've signed a contract for X number of times. And we all know that anything can happen. But most likely, my plan is to continue with this contract, is to continue on this team, and this team has my support. And
you kind of found that consistency, and you hung in there with Yuki longer than I thought you would. But the other guys are just getting beat. Getting the stuffing beat out of them. So they need some consistency there.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think. I think also they need to gamble a little bit on their strategy, kind of like I was suggesting with Sauber, a shock podium like Vettel in 2008, Gasly in 2020. Maybe if it's a straight, if it's really fast in a straight line, okay, target those tracks, Monza, etc. Really kind of go all in on those tracks you think you're going to do well and try to make a race of it.
It's kind of like the back marker teams. They often would just focus on the one-off, right? They'd focus on Australia because they knew that Ferrari and Red Bull or whoever isn't going to. They're just going to write that race off,
Yeah.
So that's where you could really succeed as a Williams, is because you could really focus on a track that nobody else is focusing on. So you could really do the same thing at Red Bull, like our Racing Bulls. Find something that is going to be your niche. Don't pick Las Vegas because that's already Mercedes' niche. And then just do that and just be successful in that place.
Yeah, I agree. For Haas, they're almost dead last. If it wasn't for Alpine's disaster of a season, they would be.
Almost. The only thing that's saving you, right, is that Alpine is a complete trash fire. That's not great.
I know.
That's not a great place to be.
I know. And I kind of feel at this point, they've got to really get crazy with their races, like I just said with Sauber and Racing Bulls. They've got to get, the team should just double down on strategic gambles. Just double down. Early switch to slicks. Bold one-stop strategies when everyone else is doing 2. Steal points when they're on offer.
You're Haas. Right. What else you got?
Yeah.
Right.
Whenever someone else falters, nab the points. You can't outpace the big teams on pure pace, so you can maybe try to outfox them on strategy. They had a couple races that they did well like that. So I think that's working. Keep those pit crew practices up, make quick stops, try to do those crazy gambles on strategy to try to nip some points, try to claw your way up. I think that's what they need to do. Got to stay out of...
You too could be Williams.
Yes.
Just keep at it, right? It's that's...
They always start off strong. Development's tough. Whether they get to the maximum of the cost cap, I don't know. With Ollie Behrman this year, they might be with damaged wings or whatever. And I think, there again, I think Ollie's a great guy. I think he's a good driver. Developing should be good.
Yeah, I think the Bear has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I think there's been some accidents and crashes and damage and stuff like that. I kind of feel like, he didn't want to be that guy. But also, if Ferrari mandated they use Ollie, then maybe they should mandate that Ollie should pay for the damaged cars.
Or Ferrari should pay for the damage.
That's
cars.
what I mean, Ferrari. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Did I say Ollie? I meant Ferrari. Yeah. If Ferrari mandated it, then Ferrari can pay for it. If I'm going to develop, if I'm going to pay for developing your future driver, then you can pay for my damaged wings, right?
I agree with that 100%. Yeah. That's absolutely how that should work.
Or give me free engines or whatever.
Something, right? Yeah, there should be some quid pro quo with this.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
I do think.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say I do think Esteban Ocon, however, is what I find interesting at Haas because he's been a very troubled fellow in Formula One, right? He has not the greatest narrative that follows him from team to team. But I think at Haas, I think at Haas we've seen that he actually is a good teammate. And maybe it's not all him, and that he's really worked with Ollie Behrman. And I think that hopefully, if anything comes out of Haas, it could be that maybe Esteban Ocon isn't the bad guy in all of these teams.
Well, I have to think that Aston's probably had a wake-up call. He probably moving over to Haas. Haas is towards the back.
They are, yeah.
So I think he's got to be looking at shelf life at this point. And he probably had a mindset change about his approach.
He's got to make the best of this.
I think after his Monaco last year, I think it was a bit of a wake-up call for him. That would be my hunch. Yeah. So speaking of Alpine.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see. How about
Where do we begin?
Yeah.
How short is this list?
I know. I'm running out of time, too.
Start with the success list. I don't know. It's the shorter one.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. How about some stability at the top? They could try not firing a team boss for a whole calendar year. It'd be nice. That'd be a team record. Consistent leadership might help turn the Endstone roller coaster into a more steady ship. I don't know. Maybe offering a lifetime supply of BWT water, whatever that is, to keep the next boss around. I don't know. But I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah, right. I think that going through a whole season with the same team principal and not Flavio Briatore trying to not be the team principal. Because, again, they don't have one, and he's like, I don't want that job. So
I know.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they fix it, but instead of alternating between a rocket ship and a shopping cart, Alpine, if they could figure out their aerodynamics and how to be easier on the tires, it might give Gasly an opportunity to stop feeling like he's driving two different cars each weekend. I don't know, easier said than done.
It's not Gasly. I think that's the thing, right? We all know it's not Gasly.
No, it's not.
Alpine has never been full send.
Right.
Like how many podcasts have we all collectively as content creators spent on Alpine saying just make a decision and stick with it for 5 seconds. Actually, I know, here's a novel idea. Act like you want to be in this sport. Act like you actually might want to win a race. Put everything behind it and do the best you can. I just don't see any of that happening at this team. And I think Flavio is just getting ready to be turned over. I don't see where that is him helping them be successful. He's not James Vow. He's the opposite. He's helping it get ready for, equity sell-off or something. I just don't see where he's helping them become the next number 5 in the Constructors' Championship point standings. It's not why he's there. Oh.
Yeah, I feel like to that point, I mean, what do they got to lose? They've already got, investors. They got venture capital ownership now. Renault's backed away from this. They've thrown an Alpine label on it. They've fired everybody. At this point, what are you doing? If it's not a Renault team and next year you're going to Mercedes engines, so this couldn't look more like a privateer team had Renault wanted it to, right? It doesn't look like a works team at all. So at this point, what do you care? You've got this thing, they're bleeding cash. It's not doing what you want it. You got these venture capitalists invested in there now you're accountable to. What would it matter to them if they just take some shares and give it to Christian Horner and bring him in to turn this whole thing around, right?
Absolutely.
And then
it can't be worse.
Christian could place some serious pressure on Toto, the engine provider, next year by demanding performance improvements on strict SLAs, right? He did that with Renault. He did that with Honda. He knows how to do that. And then, maybe don't announce that you've signed a driver next year until you're sure you really do have a driver next year.
I mean, right. Maybe lesson learned, right?
Yeah, no more Piastris, right?
Right. Be sure you actually have something before you tell everybody you have something.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But Alpine, get it together.
I know.
I mean, at this point...
Just do it. Just give Christian some ownership. It's what he wants. And if he's got ownership and skin in the game, you can bet your bottom dollar he will bring that team out of the ashes like a phoenix.
And if something goes wrong, just blame it on Flavio's mumbling.
Yes.
That's not what he actually said, but he mumbled, and that's what we thought he said.
Right.
I don't know.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, exactly.
I like that. Again, I think the idea of Flavio Briatore and Christian Horner together,
it's great.
There's only one. It's either going to be the greatest thing or the worst thing. There is no in between with that combination. So I'm all for that.
I'm all for the challenge. They're dead last. They got Pierre Gasly, who Christian fired, right?
Yeah, right.
And he's a good driver, and that's their driver.
Again.
Their second driver, they don't have a clue who that's going to be.
This Drive to Survive writes itself.
I know. This couldn't be in a worse situation if you scripted it.
Why don't they just hire Ricciardo back, right?
Yeah,
like, that's the only way this could be better.
Why not, right? And then parachute Christian into the dumpster fire and watch and see if he can turn the whole thing around. My bet is he absolutely can.
A little squirt bottle or something, like you would use,
a toothpick and a rubber band and a piece of chewing gum.
Don't be giving like a super soaker, right? Just a little.
Right.
And that's it.
I think it'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's good. I'm here for that.
There you go. There's the solutions, the AI solutions to team issues. Let's do some Alvin's Catch, shall we? I mean, it seems apropos. I don't have any no shit headlines because the news was so lame this week, but I'm sure
headlines.
I know. I'm sure you do have some Alvin's Cats though.
I do. So the first thing I want to, because there is limited news this week, and by limited I mean none.
Yep.
Formula One had dropped a video that I don't know if you saw of some F1 legends doing a roundtable at the 2025 Goodyear. And so it's like Mika Hakkinen. Oh, it's good. It's like 20 minutes, right? It's great. It's Mika Hakkinen, Nigel Mansell, Alan Prost, Jackie Stewart, Mario Andretti, Emerson Fittipaldi. It's great. So they're asking each other some pre-written questions, which is also kind of funny because that's, you're used to like Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz who kind of do it seamlessly, like fan questions. But here's some guys that are just like, I'm reading these cards to you. Great.
Right.
You get to watch Nigel Mansell really be on his phone the whole time like he's like a toddler you're trying to keep entertained at an adult dinner or something, right? That's fun too. But they have some great conversation. So there are 2 points from this that I'm going to highlight because I think that you should watch it because their telling of it is even better. But, Mika Hakkinen is going on about how, right, like there's all these older drivers at the table with him that, like the Jackies and the Marios and the Alan and the Nigel Mansell who raced in a different era than he did. So he's talking about how like, it was super dangerous when you guys were racing in the 70s in comparison to when I raced in the 90s. And he's just going on about how like, oh my God, I can't believe, how much guts you guys had to be in the sport. And Jackie Stewart and the deadpan and without missing a beat goes, you almost died. No, he goes, you died. You died in a car, Mika Hakkinen. Like, Sid Watkins came over and revived you. What are you talking about? Like, I drove in a dangerous time. You died. I was just like, well, wait. Like, no softening statements. No, like, it was very Ken Jeong. Like, did you die? You died. So I don't know why you think this is so safe, right? Like, it clearly wasn't. So I just love the way that Jackie just delivered that because of course Jackie Stewart is the safety guy. A lot of the safety we have is because of Jackie Stewart. And so he just is able, and you can just see like why that is. Like if you aren't familiar with Jackie Stewart, the way he was able to take what Mika said and went, well, you died. And here's how that improved the sport, right? Like he just rolled that into more safety kind of discussion.
Right.
So, but I love that he just put that out there.
That's great.
And then the other one I enjoyed was your boy, Alan Prost.
Yes.
They asked, what is your favorite memory of Formula One? Now, he's sitting next to Nigel Mansell. And he goes, I'm sorry, Nigel, but it has to be when I won in 1986 in Australia. And Nigel Mansell is just like laughing at this because it's kind of funny in the way that like right, these guys all, for the most part, raced against each other, and now they're kind of like old guys together, but they're still like, right.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of fun how Nigel was just kind of like, he was chuffed by this conversation of like Alan Prost very nicely kind of being like, yeah, I beat you. It was great.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that moment. So it was good. And we spoke early about Aston Martin. Mika's happiest moment, not a spoiler, he goes, oh, when Adrian Newey joined McLaren, I knew we were going to be great. So Aston Martin, let's hope that Mika Hakkinen is right.
Yes.
And Adrian Newey coming to your team really is going to be your happiest moment as well, and not just Mika Hakkinen's happiest moment. But literally, he was just, as soon as they asked that question, he was like, without missing a beat, he was just like, Adrian Newey. That guy.
Yeah.
He made it all better. Happiest day at McLaren.
That's funny.
So I hope it still holds for you.
Yeah.
I think I also, we had a MotoGP race this weekend. We made it to the end of the, I did reference MotoGP earlier, but we made it through most of the show before I really got into MotoGP. But, we had a new race at Belton Park, and, it was all right. But the Hondas are looking good. We're just one step closer to my dream goal of a Mar pole, which would be Alex Marquez, Jorge Martin, and Luca Marini. We're very close. Like, I don't want Alex Marquez in the Mar podium, but we're really close. Because spoiler alert, Marc Marquez won, but then both Jorge Martin and Luca Marini did really well.
So you have Martin, and Marini.
Right. Right.
Mar.
Right. I think that would be great. That would be a great podium. Even though it would mean that Pedro Acosta wouldn't be on the podium, I would give it for a Mar podium.
Did he have a nasty high side this weekend?
He did, but that was it's in practice. Yeah, it was really bad.
And he was okay?
But yes. Yeah. Well, it's okay. It's, MotoGP drivers. They're not,
right. They're not going to
They're not like the rest of us. They're like, I broke my collarbone. I'm fine. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. And, and at one point at the race, this is totally random, Jack Miller falls off the bike. Not the most surprising part, but his elbow slider puts off all these sparks. My first thought was, I don't know if you remember what sleepwear was like in the late 80s. You could just do this and you'd make sparks with it because it's totally not flame retardant. That's the first thing I was like, oh.
Well, this rayon is certainly interesting.
I was like, oh, it's like the pajamas I had as a kid where we all were like, look at what this does. And did our parents stop us? No. Did any of us think, oh, that might start a fire? No.
Somebody would have lit a match next to you. You'd look like the Christmas tree in a Christmas Vacation.
Exactly. Yeah. But, we just thought it was really cool that if you just did this real fast with your arm on the carpet, you made sparks. Right. But that's exactly what Jack Miller going across the track looked like. So
love it.
And I will just say that Pecco, he said they figured it out. He seemed genuinely impressed that they've figured it out. So let's hope so, since Pol Espargaro finished higher than Pecco, and Pol hasn't been on a bike in like 4 years or whatever. So that's not great.
That's not good.
That's like when Danny Pedrosa was in 2 years ago, was like one of the higher
the top guys. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and you only ran 3 races. That's not good. That's not good. So hopefully, Pecco, you really have turned the corner and you can save the end of this season.
I agree. All right. Well, that does it for this podcast. Let us know how you think you would fix the teams, or if you asked ChatGPT or Grok or Claude or whomever how to fix the teams. Let us know what it said. I'm all ears, man. I think it would be good to know. But until next week, because this is a race weekend, I hope I can find Paul. He was a VIR this weekend racing. Yes. Had a good recovery run, I think, to a podium. And, he's out and about. He's out in the wild. You got to watch yourself.
If not, Christian Horner is probably available, and you can have him as your fill-in for
Christian
Paul.
And I would get along famously. So anyway, if I can find Paul...
You know what? That would, I don't know. That would not be good. I don't wish that on you.
Yeah.
It would be entertaining, but I don't wish that on you.
So, all right. If I can find Paul, we'll be back. So until that time, next week, this is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camber, saying so long, Grace.
See you in a couple weeks.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. I still feel I got to prove it.